Hello and welcome back to the PLP, a bit of a midweek treat featuring what I would call a final, the Southern Final, otherwise known as the Bristol Street Motors Trophy or EFL Trophy semi-final. It's a mouthful, it's been a mouthful all season, and it's led to Levi and Zach fighting it out to be the best of the South. The Northern Final, I think between Wyman and Alex, is next week, and that will obviously lead to a final. Also today we've got League 1, got League 2 and National League Prem. Hence why I thought I'd come for a watch along. It's nice that FM has realised that the big game of the week should be left till later. We're heading to League 1 first instead. Should be a formality this. Picked this game because Matty's a bit behind the rest of his League 1 counterparts in terms of highlighted games, so try and keep it as fair and even as possible. But nothing fair or uneven about his position in the league at the moment. 4 points clear, already surpassed the 100 mark. And it's games like this that should see him retain that position, you'd think, to the end of the year. Only a couple of months left now, if that, about 6 weeks. Don't be fooled by the Van Persie lining up front for Swindon. That is Shaquille rather than Robin. Obviously I let the non-draft teams dabble in the transfer market wherever they fancy. And one person, or the only person that's not dabbled in the transfer market at all since we started this project, is the person that's leading the way. Of all 28 of us, he's top of League 1, following promotion from League 2, finishing second last year. And he looks pretty destined for the Championship next season. The more I think about it, I don't know if it's the lack of transfer movements, but I do think the pickup of Sir Alex has made a massive difference. 4-4-2 can be pretty potent on this game if you've got a manager like that at the helm. And that's despite, in a 4-4-2 you'd think you'd need a decent enforcer at centre mid. He's gone for David Silva and Jorginho, a combined weight of 6 stone, I think. But it's that man that's been doing most of the damage, to be honest. It was Cantona last season. I think Foden was often played at centre mid or left mid last year. He's found his place up front this season. He's been absolutely relentless. He feels inevitable in this game as well. I don't know how many of the there's the second. Don't know how many of the drafters are able to actually remember Swindon in the Premier League. A lot of these names won't mean anything to anyone other than maybe Craigs, Trudland, Daniels, maybe Marshy, maybe Calver. Apologies for outing all of you. Even I'm slightly not quite old enough. I know some of the players. Fjortoft was definitely playing when I started watching. Nicky Summerby, I think that's Kevin Horlock. Kilcline, I think, was an old Newcastle player. Other than that, I'm struggling a bit. And I was struggling even more when I had to create them. I have realised in the last couple of weeks that genuinely the advancements in AI would have made my job about 80% easier if it had been around like it is now 2 years ago. You can Google anyone and it gives a complete player profile of even the most obscure player. When I was doing it, I was having to delve into the darkest corners of the web to try and find what kind of player Digby was, other than a shit goalkeeper, it seems. saying Matty's promotion is an inevitability. I think it probably is, but it is a bit closer than I thought. I think Foyverton had such a bad run of games that I thought they were out of the mix, but they've got a game in hand. Oh no, they did have a game in hand on Thomarse, which they won. They're only 2 points behind now. I think that puts them 5 behind Ellister. So, I mean, if there was to be an uncharacteristic drop in form from Ellister, there are people waiting to bounce. It's just, I can't see the first bit happening. It certainly hasn't happened today. Oh, Craig Maskell, another person I had to create, not knowing who the hell he was. That's his 15th goal of the season. Perler of a strike there as well. Beyond this, we've got one League Two game coming up, and actually, I'll sort of go into it in more detail when we're there, but 2 massive NLB games. For the first time this season, we've had 2 matches where 2 drafted teams are facing off against each other at the same time. The Craigs locking horns again after their FA Trophy clash last week. Not sure where we're going to be sent next. We are being sent down there. It's the other game, and a really, really massive one for Manchestaff, who've just been making excuse after excuse week after week, but really time is running out. Draws aren't enough. Small patches of form aren't enough. These next 8 games really need to yield. We're about 28 points, I think, out of 36, something like that, if they're to guarantee that playoff spot. It would be quite annoying and sad if we didn't get that full accompaniment of drafted teams in that playoff situation. So that would be a really fun summer. We'd have 1 already promoted and the other 5 battling it out for just 1 spot. Gourlay, on the other hand, pretty much secured one of those playoff spots. Automatic too far away. Liam, with his manager change halfway through the season, definitely not secured in that position yet. Has been a slight upturn of form since David Moyes took over, but it's been these games he just can't seem to get 3 points unless it's an absolute gimme. It's once again Beckham carrying the team today. He always seems to play a 7+, whether they win, lose or draw. You've got to say, they deserve the half-time lead. That's the best performance I've seen from Manchestaff in a long time. Some concerted pressure, more than the 1 highlight they usually get per half. Tidy finish from Teddy. Some outrageous goalkeeping. I think Keller has dived halfway back to Liverpool. Oh, some great football. And a dubious penalty, but they'll take it. Laurent Blanc, what's he doing up there? He was a good pen taker in his time, actually. And it's an uncharacteristic 2-goal lead. think I'd like to go back through the stats. I'm not sure Liam's beaten any other draft team yet this season. Maybe one at the start of the year. But this would be a massive result if he can hold on. Spoiler alert, he has also let go 2 and 3 goal leads numerous times this season. So I wouldn't say it's in the bag just yet. Beckham could finish it though. No, not this time. And despite that being the first highlight for Tom, I still wouldn't say it's a surprise. Like I said, this is just Manchestaff all over for 2 seasons really. Game management non-existent. Bottle non-existent. Three points often non-existent. Actually, Gourlayverpool have just started bringing on their normal starters with about 10 minutes left. Can Manchestaff hold on? Looks like it. What a 3 points that is. We're back on course for the playoff rumble. And we're staying down here. So, as I alluded to, it was only last week that these two faced off against each other in the FA Trophy quarter-finals. I think I was going to say it was a 3-goal lead. I think it was just a 2-goal lead that otbCraig built up, only to get reeled in and to lose 3-2 at the death. He's sort of retained, or regained I should say, some league form in recent weeks or recent days after a pretty sizable slump. But I'd say both these teams are firmly in that category of playoff secured, automatic unlikely. So this game actually just more important in terms of positioning, because you do get a bye to the next round of the playoffs if you can finish second or third. And especially for the home team here, if they can win, that puts them in a really good position to try and get one of those 2 slots. No Morientes today. He's usually Vialli's strike partner. Tony Yeboah getting a game, which is always lovely to see. Hidetoshi Nakata, another player that's seemingly been dropped. Interestingly, for the away team, no Carlton Palmer, which is normally not a great sign for Craig of the Trudgell ilk. And despite this first half being entirely one-sided, still somehow goalless. Don't think we're going to get the 5-goal fest we had in the previous matchup. Does feel slightly inevitable. Don't normally get away with conceding 18 shots to none and coming away with anything on FM or in any form of football. 70% possession, 17 shots to 0. defends plucky Canaries. With Christoph Zimmermann at the back, which I've only just realised. Not sure how that's happened. Oh, there's a shot. Are they actually going to hold on to a point as well? Or more? Suddenly come alive in the 80th minute. That is an infuriating 2 points dropped if you're Daniels. That's laptop across the room stuff in FM world. A little bit annoyingly, they've decided now to make the premier game of the midweek the 4th match in the lineup. And it's Levi against Zach, 2 old school friends vying for a place in that EFL trophy final. Levi currently plying his trade in League One following his playoff promotion last season. And actually last year, the gap between these two would have been sizable. Actually this year, Zach's been right in the playoff picture. Levi's been sort of the fourth best of the 4 that are in League One, I'd say. But he's taken the lead here. Luis Garcia, as he so often does, despite being about 3 foot. Connecting with his head. I suppose on paper these League One sides should have dominated the EFL trophy this year, but it is only Levi left. Foyverton went out at the quarter-final stage, losing out to Leeds United, who will stake their claim for a final berth next week. But other than that, Thomarse and Ellister nowhere really to be seen. This League One team look like they're going through though. Oof. Game on. That doesn't normally look good. There we go. That could be game over. Maxi Rodriguez with an absolute moment of madness trying to re-break Luke Shaw's legs. Hard to see a way back with 10 men, 2-1 down, away at a League One side. And they've gone into absolute suicide mode, either side of half-time. 2 acts of complete lunacy. One from Maxi Rodriguez. Is it Thiago Silva of all people here? Yes. What on earth is he doing? Handing it on a plate to his Brazilian compatriot, and that should be curtains. I mean, presuming FullofStrangeham do get the job done here. Levi's final opponent is going to either be Alex Todd and his Leeds United boys, or it'll be his other good friend Dan Wyman with his Dan City Y lot. But I'd say on form, Leeds United are probably the favourites, but then Dan always seems to perform in the cups on pretty much everything else already. Still going strong in the Europa League as well, despite some pretty average league form. So yeah, a really close one to call that one. But whoever he faces, Levi will be going into that final as definite favourites. For the meantime, he can refocus on preparing for what is going to presumably be a League One playoff assault. He'll definitely be in those playoffs, and then it's just a case of whether he can see off, whether it's Foyverton or Thomarse in all likelihood, in what should hopefully be a barnstorming final. Getting a bit ahead of myself, but if it all goes to the form book, we should be getting some all draft action in both the League One and League Two playoffs, and certainly the NLP playoffs as well. A lot of big games coming up in the next 2 months and into the summer. Well done, Levi. Easy passage to Wembley. And that brings us to League Two, after going around the houses slightly. Two teams in very good form actually at the moment. I know I've flogged this story to death, but poor Louis is having to watch his team pretty much every 2 days between now and the end of the season. And that's without his ongoing Conference League campaign. I actually don't know what's going to happen if he gets through that, which he almost certainly will. He's basically just going to need to send half his team to just keep them on a plane to go on their continental travels and keep the other one local. I was wondering if there'd be much rotation, and actually there is a little bit. We've got Phil Babb, Gary Breen, and I think, was it Marcus Hall? I can't remember, he was a Coventry left back from the 90s. Might be getting that wrong. Definitely isn't Lewis, that's all I do know. So he scraped a 1-0 win at the weekend, and he's very much in the playoff picture. That's the thing. If he had a free run in, I think he'd be almost guaranteed automatic, let alone the playoffs. It's just whether these rotations and forced changes to keep people fresh derail the form. And actually the Red Whall are one of the worst teams to be facing when posed to that problem. Recent Carabao Cup winners and have won every league game since then as well, to reignite their early season form, and that has been coming. It is Marcus Hall after a quick Google. Played for Coventry 132 times between 94 and 2002. Former captain of England under 21s. What a player to bring in. Obviously for me, I love it. I want to see all these random creations get more game time. He's been hauled off at half time, bless him. And actually Louis' squad runs deeper than pretty much everyone's now. It used to be Zach's Wimbledon team. He's got rid of about 30 of those inherited players. Louis kept most of his by contrast. So it'll be interesting to see if the likes of Darren Huckabee or Noel Whelan, Wegerle, however you pronounce that, Breen, Babb, whether they get more game time. Burrows and Borrows, maybe even a Negrizovic. weirdly, on the goalkeeper front, it seems that Rui Patricio is actually keeping... Oh, it's Roy Miguel. Patricio is actually keeping David Seaman out of the team at the moment. I don't think Seaman's injured. He's just been dropped. And it was always going to be a tough game, regardless of the fixture list. The mighty Wall march on. Go and check in on the other League One scores, and Foyverton have kept the pressure up. Finally found a good rhythm again. Nice comfortable win over Coventry B. Louis could do with some of those players joining him as well at the moment. Jesus Navas with a rare appearance, and Ashley Williams with a rare goal. Thomarse keeping up his end of the bargain. Garnacho and the I don't know how to phrase him. The important Kovacevic, brought in over the summer in a bit of a rogue pickup, has actually been such a handy player to bring off the bench on numerous occasions. Bit of a concerning injury to MATTch, otherwise a good day at the office there. And actually, I don't. Oh yeah, FullofStrangeham are obviously in cup action. Down to League Two, and Connor continues to just baffle and bemuse. Terrible form. Arsened on the up, and then Connor goes and wins 1-0 away without Shearer. It's his replacement Adebayor with the important goal, and actually a complete domination on the pitch. So difficult to pick out his performances and his results. Tricky day at the office for Ned. And an equally tricky day for Chesh. His wheels not off, but certainly wobbling in the last game or two. Every time he looks like he's about to put pressure on the automatic places, just throws in like a week where things go wrong. Salomon Kalou's opener. Denied by Undav. Dauncey's Devils refuse to relinquish that space in the top 2 or 3. Zlatan and Payet scoring quite late, and even later Lampard penalty not enough for Bustin to keep his playoff charge going. I think we're looking at a stage now where Dauncey's playoff position is not secured, but certainly looking stable. Less and less stable is Jazz of the Rovers and their playoff hopes. Again, just can't seem to find consistency. Despite actually only playing against 10 men for the final 35 minutes. Bad result there. And a good result for Harry Pally. Always nice to see. Not much to go with for the rest of this season. No Gerrard or Alonso today. And actually, if you're going to play a back five, at least put an actual right wing back there. Decent result. And George Weir on the score sheet, I'm pretty sure for the first time this season. After so much entertainment being brought by him last year. And the National League Prem. Got more games down here. Yes, we have. We've got a win for LuTom. A Chiesa goal, somewhat diluted by injuries to Jackson and Chiesa. Not sure the severity of those. Turns out Watford B just decided to kick the shit out of LuTom in the second half. 5 yellow cards in 25 minutes. It's pretty impressive. And then a win for Marshy as well, who looks completely set on the NLP title this season, and a return to League Two. It does look like Van Nistelrooy may be injured again. He came back briefly, scored a hat-trick, and now he's sodded off again. But Rasmus Højlund continuing to do a good job in his stead. Go up to look at the league tables. And there you can see we've now got 3 teams past the 100 mark. FullofStrangeham will get there eventually, I'm sure, but it looks far too difficult now for them to get into the automatics. Foyverton still got that chance, only 2 points off Thomarse, with 6 to play. League 2 and Dauncey only got 7 games left, but he's back at the top. You know, those points are just in the bag. I think I would rather be in his position than someone like myself, for instance, who's just playing catch-up. Louis to an extent as well, although at least he's starting in the playoffs with that catch-up. And the Red Whall actually putting himself back into contention for automatic, albeit he would need to win his games in hand. Down to the NLP, you can see there, 8-point gap with a game in hand. He has now secured a playoff spot, and so has otbCraig. And actually, he's talking about that second and third spot and receiving the bye through the first round. It's going to be tight. LuTom and Gourlayverpool very much in the mix of that too. And then Manchestaff still vying for that playoff spot. 3 points off the pace. And today's win was a step in the right direction, but they're going to need a lot more of those over the next 7 games. Any manager sackings? Nothing that really concerns us. So, there's Craven Cottage. Yeah, that's everything for today. I'll be sending over the scores from the Champions League and Europa League and Conference League round of 16 second leg games. And then we're heading back towards the weekend, where I think it's League and FA Cup this week. So I will catch you then. See ya.